one thing that I'm going to piggyback on the BBDO thing, because after Iacocca fired everybody, and it goes back to the thing I talked about relationships, he told BBDO, they got the account back, they come and bring me back to run the business. And this is 2 years after I left, and was 2 years into this, my own company. And I said, why would I wouldn't know how to price my company. You guys want to buy it, and you want me to come back. And then I did something crazy. I said, I'll come back on one condition, that you make all the resources available of BBDO to my company. You allow me to keep my company, the profit sharing that I had before, you restore it. And you can't tell me where I'm going to be every day. I was just so bizarre that no way would they say yes. And you have to pay me this. And they said, okay. And I said, there's one more thing. We have to go meet with Iacocca. And this has to be okay with him. I'm going to be running my company and his at the same time. And I'd be shocked if he said yes. So the president of BBDO and I went to Iacocca. We laid out this scenario that I was going to keep my company. And he said, you guys are crazy. And I said, well, Mr. Iacocca, if you hold me responsible for the sale of Dodge cars and trucks, I'm in every meeting you want me to be, wherever it is, what do you care? And it was enough of an Iacocca kind of comment that he said, you're right. Let's try. So he put me on his office of the chairman. So I met on his little committee, and I kept my company. And 2 years later, I was doing both. And they put me on the board of directors at BBDO New York. So I'm flying to New York, and we're, talking about the biggest brands they got. And we're buying media that's 20 million, 50 million. I'm running back here and pitching a furniture store with a $50,000 budget, running down to Chrysler for a big meeting with Iacocca, flying back to my agency. And it was like nuts. And I was going to die. I just don't know where they'd find me. But the other agencies then started to come after my accounts here at Berline, because they said, look, eventually he's going to sell the BBDO anyway. So if you want a BBDO, go there. If not, why are you there? Because he's going to leave.
Yeah.
And we lost a couple pieces of business. And that's why I said, look, I want to build my own agency. Called Iacocca and said, look, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I want to be an entrepreneur. And, he said, if I couldn't be one at Chrysler, I wouldn't be here either. He said, I agree with that. Go for it. And I think that every year for about 7 or 8 years, I get a call or letter from him on that day. How's it going? No regrets, blah, blah, blah. It was really cool.
Amazing.
But that motivated me to make sure I didn't fail.
And how long were you doing that, where you had your own agency? 2 years.
Where I had it with BBDO, and they made me an executive vice president and a member of the board. 2 years doing that and trying to keep this.
And what was your time split like between the two?
It depended on the day. I mean, it could be 6 o'clock in the morning here, and then I'd fly to Highland Park to be in an 8 o'clock meeting there. Fly back here for 11 o'clock meeting, back down there for 4 o'clock.
Wow.
Then I wanted to coach my son's soccer team. I try and get there to coach. So I still had a personal life. So I kept getting up earlier and earlier so that my kids didn't know where I was when they're sleeping, so that I could be somewhat available to be a dad.
So we have an extremely young audience. And in today's world, in today's society, it feels like you need to always be doing something to get that edge over your competitors. Can you explain to the audience how you're able to balance all these things and all the stuff you took on?
And how many hours of sleep a night were you getting at this time?
Oh, there could be 4 hours some day. There was a couple of weeks when I flew to New York every day. Every morning, I was on a 6:05 to New York. I get creative in BBDO, fly back, present it, fly back, and do it every day. And it was like crazy, but it was like a cool story for a while.
You probably had some great rewards miles built up.
Yeah, no, well, they didn't have them those days. I'd be on the flight. I'd be only on a 747.